Alright guys, Supreme Kami here, and today we are going to be doing the review for the big scale Epyon Gundam. So this overall unit is actually quite interesting. They actually gives this unit a fairly high base melee attack, so that was really surprised to see. And they also pumped this unit with the highest shot defense possible, I think, ever on a melee unit. So that is something. I think with this overall unit, they are definitely preparing people for those that cares about the shot defense mode arena, like for anyone that cares about getting into the top 10, getting into like the top podium, like top 1, like top 10, top 100, top 1, whatever. This unit definitely does it. I think personally, given the overworld text and stuff, this unit is crazy. But despite this one does lack some melee defense, this one doesn't really care because with the base amount of melee attack this one is receiving, it's going to be placed on the top no matter what. So as far as the overall vortex that this unit you can find, you're going to find high mobility, high firepower, close combat, and then transformer. So you're going to see those vortex recycling throughout all these 8 parts here. So let's actually guys get started with the head part. So even before taking a look, I would tell you guys that the head part, the beam source, and then the heat rod, they're actually really good as for the portrait, especially the melee weapons. I would actually say either or are actually really top notch. It just really depends on what you guys are looking for. So I guess we can just kind of jump around, I guess. So I'm just gonna show you guys what they do as far as where their rank. They're gonna be this high up. They have probably some of the better portrait possible currently for a melee weapon. Not to discount any of the other one, but this one is simply really good. Just really, I guess, made for melee in a way. So we have a bunch, right? But this one, in my opinion, kind of stood out to me. Just have some really high base stats. This one is actually just really good. This one actually gives you some initial charge. It actually start things out at 20%. So if anyone is like, oh, new to the game, they happen to pull the beam sword, you guys are pretty much good to go. You all trade this bad boy here, and you are rocking a fairly decent amount of good melee weapon. You're set. You also do have a company of enemy melee damage plus 25%, so that's really solid. Stat for the hero are pretty much going to be the same thing, but this one is purely going to be damage. This one is going to be purely giving you some enemy melee damage up, and then another all enemy all damage. So this one is essentially anything. This one is actually squad based as well for the secondary one, but this one does want you to be running transformer. So they are once again boosting or buffing this text once again. So that is good to see. So here's the thing. So if you guys did happen to pull 2 of them, the beam sword and then the heat rod, if you guys do not need any initial charge boosting whatsoever, because you guys have it ready, then I would definitely focus on the heat rod, because that one is purely the damage outputting melee weapon. But the problem is I find that heat rod actually, or just any of the whip category, just don't have that many good options. If we do a quick filtering on anything that we have currently, whip, we just don't have that much. So that's going to be a problem if you guys do want to use it. So do be careful on that. Even the standard option aren't really the best. We do have some 7-star option, like the G hammer from the Austria type F2. This one could be good because this one does actually have prototype high power. But does it really, can you, you can't. That's kind of sad. So the most optimal option is you pull 2 copy of this one, and then you have the other one sub slot as a non-alterated, so you do not get penalized by big scale subbing to a big scale. So that's pretty much like the only options anyway. This one's a build project, so probably people won't be able to get it. But yeah, the heat rod is good, but at the same time it's bad because of the options available for sub-slotting. It's just kind of like, I don't know, man. So the beam sword is definitely looking a little bit nicer because the blade category does definitely have a lot more options. But back to the head part. Head part is actually really good as well. They actually went out of the way to kind of give this one another buff EXQ effect, so that's really good. But the unfortunate factor is you do have to, well, I guess not unfortunate, if you guys are not using any EXQ that gives buff, it doesn't really matter anyways. But the EXQ that is given for the Epyon, they are kind of lacking, because I believe the arm EXQ gives you like a attack raise leg part as well, but they activate after, so you're not actually gaining the attack boosting on the dot, so that kind of sucks. That kind of defeats the value of this one because only your second and third EXQ onward will be more powerful than they would have been. So I would like my first EXQ to hit hard as well, but it's not doing it. So that is simply restraining to only these EXQ that we're looking at. But we talking about some other general ones. They activate on the activation of the EXQ, so you're good. Like the buff EXQ effects is gonna be good. But once again, in terms of these buff traits right here, they are only gonna be good when you're using up to when you're using 2 or more EXQ that comes with any effects. If you're simply using any EXQ that does not give effects, this trait is gonna be bad. But yeah, as Transformer once again, so they are continuously trying to buff up this trait, so that's good. I think now we actually do have a really good contender to run. It's actually very viable to run Transformer in a melee build with LEs. So that's good to see. Because I will talk about 2 other parts that you should have if you guys are running Transformer. But head part definitely really good. But is it really better than some of the other one? I mean, the thing is, we have this one here, right? I think Exia Dark, or yeah, the Exia Dark Matter actually is a fairly good one as well. 10% less in terms of the actual melee damage, so that could be, if you're looking at purely the trait, this one is obviously seemingly a little bit lacking, but this one you do have the initial charge on the head part, so we definitely do have some good options. But yeah, lately they are starting to give some melee that love we need, because this one is good. So let's move on to the torso. The torso is simply just gonna, you guys can see that the shot defense is monstrous. Like, what is going on? But don't let that fool you, because if we take a look at the base melee attack, we are looking at a 9,693. That is probably the highest we've seen up to date, and that is insane. We have this zero system. Honestly, as far as these awakening, I'm not the huge fan of, just because I would rather use the EXQ that gives the following while I'm able to do some attacking with it. But this one is really unique in a sense, because this one does actually, another one of those that reduces cooldown instantly by 38%. I think it starts out at 35% on base, so that is really good. I believe now we should have a few options where you have it on the torso now. I believe the Galleon, the back part actually just gives another one of these, so you can technically make like a pseudo EXQ cooldown reduction type build without actually using those traits, those specific traits. So that's definitely something, right? As far as this one, if you guys are using it, definitely do pair yourself up with a good part trait possible. Just kind of take a look at the word type possible. For this one, you have high mobility and then close combat, and then you can obviously access whatever the other one has. Granted, you have both of them together, like having both of them in your storage, obviously. In terms of some good portraits that you can be looking at, honestly, this one being a big scale, I really don't know what to give it, just because we just have so much that is under the big scale, so it's just kind of hard. I guess, I don't know, there's actually not that much. Oh, hold up, is there actually not a good, oh wait, never mind, this one works, the Galleon works. But high powers, yeah, we are just lacking that a little bit. This one wouldn't work. This one could work actually, the Gundam Haru speed attribute. This one can kind of work. You have high mobility that can kind of filter in. You have this one would have been really good. We have the Barbados Lupus Rex. That one is really good. But wow, we actually don't have that one. Oh, you have this one as well. You have the Barbaric, which is actually not bad. But yeah, it looks like we are lacking some options. So I think next time if you see some melee unit, I would like for them to actually not make it big scale, because you guys can see the problem is if you subslot big scale to a big scale, you don't get these scale differences. So that is like a major L. So kind of unfortunate. You do give some really good stats, but no portrait. So you do have to kind of dig around to see what is good, what's kind of like a good option for you guys. But yeah, let's kind of move over to the arm. Alright, so now moving over to the arm, you can see pretty much the same similar things we have been seeing from the head part to the torso. Just some really incredibly high shot defense. So I mean, that's good, right? Just for the purpose of it. As for the base melee attack, is actually pretty good as well. But you guys can see that as for the first two, they're actually EX base, and they have some higher stats. So this one is actually not the best from those two, but this one obviously does have better vortex selections right out the bat, so that's really good to see. For base for urban area, honestly, they're they're just like fumble. So this one definitely has a easier way of just subslotting. So for this one, let's kind of take a look at EX skill first. We have the Epyon Claw. So this one's this EX skill is pretty much the same thing as the original version. So you actually get the attack up after executing it, so you don't really benefit a whole lot while you end animation, unfortunately. But as far as, let's say, what kind of subset availability you have, I think you have a lot. You can look at, let's say, the Horus arms. This one have let's say high mobility and then high firepower. This one may not be the best option because as far as if you are trying to build out this Epyon a bit, I think it's best not to run high firepower because you're gonna have to run Protag, Transformer, and then something else. High firepower could actually fit, but I think maybe running high mobility or even close combat may be better. Besides that, we can take a look at, let's say, the XN double riser. This one does have another 40% trait, so that could be good. Some other one, this one would be good, but this one unfortunately is a big scale, so we can't really do that. Some other one, maybe you can take a look at this one, the Sasabi big scale version, or just lab size version. This one is a squat base, so this one could be a great option as well. So that's pretty much it for the arm. Honestly, just not anything too spectacular because it's pretty much an EX base, and then we just have some, they just kind of jack it up with some good stat. Not too impressive with this one here. It's gonna be saying the same thing for the leg, I guess, because it is gonna be under EX. This one, they actually did name it a new name of it. They give it a 2. So this one, in terms of the overall animation, is pretty much going to be the same thing as you can fly. I believe it's going to be on the Gundam Zeta's torso, and then on the double Zeta's back part, they pretty much have the same animation. So pretty much really boring. As far as the stat, gonna be a swallow, so just really some jacked up shot defense or skin. As for the actual base melee attack, you guys can see is 9,000. Again, that is really impressive. So if we do take a look at the overall stat compartment, you guys can see that it's gonna be top notch currently. Like I said again, if you are gonna be using the leg, you do have to pair it up with some good part trait. I believe the leg selection don't really have that much, except for, I don't think we have that many at all. The speed attribute of the Destiny is a build project, so it's not really accessible to a whole lot of people. I think what we can look at is actually, I don't know actually, because we don't have that much. We can take a look at the big scale Barbados, but obviously you wouldn't do that because that's a big scale already. So leg part, unfortunately, we just have to kind of like, I don't know. This one, wait a minute. We actually do have something. This one, how could I forget? We have the Lupus. This one is not the worst selection because we, out of the bunch, because we don't have any at all. It's just unfortunate. This one you are locked into using close combat, so that's kind of fixated to use close combat, Transformer, and then Protag as your 3 Vortag, which is actually not too bad. But I would definitely like to have the flexibility if possible. But kind of granted, given what we have, this is probably the best option. And this one does not even have a matching word tag, so that kind of worries me as far as, you know, just the stat. It's gonna drop out by a little bit. It's not gonna be much, but it is still gonna be noticeable. But there you have it for the leg portion. Just all around not too good. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like leg part for melee, they definitely need to give us something more. It just seems like we're lacking like a whole lot of things that could be good. So I hopefully in the upcoming weeks or months they can drop something that's not big scale, because that's really what we need at this point in time. Just something non-big scale, and then we are solid. Moving over to the back part, we do have a part tray, so let's take a look at this and see how it's going. So once again, pretty good base melee attacks, 10,000, which is actually pretty impressive without any, you know, up the conversion gear. Shot defense is going to be 11,000 once again, so pretty much similar to what we have seen so far. As for the portrait for this one, is actually pretty good. You know, if you're talking about you want to reduce your enemy melee power, this one is all the way up to 90%. So this one is one of those new generation of portrait, especially for reduction, pumping up to 90%. So this one is good. No complaints on this one. Secondary trait, you are getting another enemy melee damage up by 40%. So as far as your shot attack, so the first part is the condition. So you are going to be doing a less shot damage, which is I think it's fine because since this is going to be a melee based unit anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But if I were using this one, if I was making this build, one thing or one part I'll use is actually going to be this one here. So I'll use this one as the back part, and then I'll actually subslot it to this one, the Gundam Initial Liberta, because look at what we have. We have Transformer, and then we have buffs. So this one is a really pinnacle part because we just don't have anything that is similar to this one for quite a while, and this one I think is gonna age really good. High firepower and Transformers, so you do have everything that you need already. So this is definitely something that I will be using alongside if possible. So that's that. So let's kind of move over. We kind of talk about the what is it, the melee weapon already. So yes, do know how I feel about them. They're really good. But moving over to the shield, let's see what we have. So 12k for the shot defense. That's really good, right? 12k, and this one is still gonna be currently one of the better one as for its stat itself. So almost 8,000 for your base melee attack. That's insane. I don't know. This one is good. If you do take a look at the EX cube, we have the heat rod. This one is actually really good as well because you guys can see this one is debuffing, right? So you are actually going to be debuffing your enemies melee attack and melee and shot attack by 90%, and then also going to be lowering their melee and shot defense as well. So this one is very similar to the narrative B-Packs and torso because that one is an actual buffer or debuffer. So if you run this one and that one together, you can pretty much make your opponent do 0 damage, which is actually pretty nuts. So I do unfortunately do have it, so this one is going to be really good. As far as this one, gonna be the same situation. So if you are gonna be running this back part specific or the shield specifically, the other one that I will subslot to is obviously gonna be the Fenicia Libertas shield part, because it's pretty much gonna be giving them the same thing, but 40%, and then all damage plus 50%. So you have some pretty good selections. I feel like those two are definitely really complementary. I think that's why right now Transformer is at its really high peak. This everything is working really well. You have just so many selections that kind of make that build work. So yeah, overall I think Epyon does really make that melee build solid now with the introduction, just the introduction of a lot of part having the ability to use Transformers. So that's pretty good. But other than that, any of these part with the part trait, head part, beam sword, heat rod, they're really good. It's just my only complaints is the one that has, let's say, the EXQ, obviously, because you do have to work a little bit more harder for them to kind of make them work, because they're a big scale and most of our options in terms of part trait are not really, any of the one that has good part trait are not big scale. They're not one-to-one photo per scale, so that just makes it hard in terms of subslotting. But other than that, that's gonna be pretty much it. So up next, I will be doing a review for the Gundam Double X as well, and see how that one fares against this one.